friends, I'm Victoria and welcome back to another reading vlog. This week I have a few books on the list. I actually started one last night and it's Friday today. So I started one last night but I only got like a chapter in. I mean, it was a long chapter. It was like an hour-long chapter almost, but I only got one chapter in before I was like ready to go snooze and go to sleep. So, but that first book is Silver and Nitrate by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. She's the author of Mexican Gothic and Velvet Was the Night, if you have read those. I've read both of them and they were both pretty good to me. I definitely enjoyed Mexican Gothic better, but I am really excited about this one. The plot sounds really interesting. It's basically about a woman who works in the film industry, but she has just like a very entry-level position pretty much. She does editing and kind of just like one-off freelance roles, editing movies and such, and mainly she works on horror movies and she's really into editing those. But she ends up being neighbors with someone that's pretty prominent in the movie industry, and he offers her the opportunity to change everything and become big or popular within cinema. And just, I don't know what the stakes are there or like what the trade-off is, or if she like sells her soul or what's going on. I don't know what's going to happen for her to make that work and for that agreement to happen, but I'm really excited to see how it goes. It also says, the synopsis mentions like they feel like they're being haunted by someone, so I'm interested to see how it turns into either like a haunting or ghosts or, you know, demons or what. I hope it's really scary. I'm looking for something super spooky and I'm hopeful for it. But basically she's like just right now in this first chapter, she's working in a almost like an open workspace where you kind of just like rent areas where you can edit and do things like that. And she's working on a film, and it's just like a very indie horror film, and she has to work on it super quickly. They need it in 5 days. She doesn't think she can get it done. She was hoping for like 2 weeks and she's kind of rushing trying to get it done. And what happens is, in this workspace that she is doing her work in and finishing the editing, she gets in an argument with the owner of the workplace, the workspace, and he tells her to leave. So now she does not have any like editing equipment and any way to finish her job right now. So that's how far I've gotten. Overall, nothing scary or spooky at all yet, which just makes sense. But I am hoping in the next few chapters it really picks up and we get some spooky stuff. Mexican Gothic wasn't very scary to me. I think it had like some spooky like suspense aspects to it, and the twist was actually pretty bizarre and interesting, but I wouldn't call it scary per se, but I'm hoping this one is, and to see, oh, there's Jasper's butt, and just to see how far this can go. But that's how far I am now. I will update you on more once I know more. I also finished A House with Good Bones last night, and I'll just give a little quick spiel about that if you're interested. I know a lot of people are looking to read that, but it's by T. Kingfisher, and this one, the first 50% is not scary at all. There's really nothing spooky about it, and then some things do happen in the last 50%, but I did not find this scary. Like, the tone of it is almost like darkly comic and kind of darkly funny in a way, to me at least, and I did not think it was scary at all. But so if you're looking for something spooky but you don't want to be really scared or anything like that, I think that's a really good read and a good option. It's also super short. It's just like I want to say like 250 pages or something. It's short, but overall it's about a woman who is visiting her mom. She goes home, things are weird, her house is completely changed, all the walls are white, they're like all her eclectic art has been changed out for these really strange paintings and photos, and her mom is just acting off, like something is going on with her. And it's really just about, is there a haunting? What's going on? Is there something supernatural happening here? Is her mom okay? But is her mom like mentally ill? Does she have dementia or something like that? So I thought it was good and funny. I actually like LOL'd a few times. I really did laugh out loud a few times. And I really enjoyed the characters in this, and it definitely is unique. What ends up happening is for sure unique and different, so I appreciated that. It's just if you're looking for something scary, not it. And the atmosphere is not quite there. It's very, the way that it's written, and I enjoy it. I liked how it was written. It was just, it wasn't super descriptive, or just when it comes to a lot of horror spooky stuff, like the atmosphere building is some of my favorite parts of it, especially when it comes to a haunting, and this doesn't have that. It's very just like blatant, telling you what's happening, not super descriptive. So, which is probably also why it's so short. But yeah, just want to say that. I did give it 3.5 stars. I thought it was good. I think it's a good intro into spooky season and spooky stuff. Also, like if you're new to horror, it's probably a really good option for you and something easy to read and something that won't scare you away from the genre totally. So overall, I think it definitely has a place on your shelf. I just was hoping for something a little bit more spooky personally. But yeah, that's my wrap up there for that one. My July wrap up that I need to edit. And yeah, we're going to a show tonight at Red Rocks. We're going to see Say Anything and the Front Bottoms, so I'm really excited about that. I love Say Anything and the Front Bottoms too, but like Say Anything is like one of my ride or dies, but super excited about that. Oh, but my other books that I have on my list for this weekend are Tell Me I'm Worthless and then also The Last Word. So I don't know if I'll get to them all. They're all kind of longer. I mean, I don't think Tell Me I'm Worthless is, or Tell Me You're Worthless, Tell Me I'm Worthless. I don't think that's super long, but this one is the one that Silver Nitrate is a little bit longer, and I think The Last Word is like 10ish hours. Silver Nitrate's like I think 14, and Tell Me I'm Worthless is like 9 or 10. So it might be possible. We don't have a ton of plans this weekend. We have the show tonight, and then tomorrow evening we're going to no. And tomorrow, Saturday night, we're going to, there's this farm a little bit outside of the city called Anderson Farms, and they're doing like special sunflower garden picking. So that's what we're going to go do tomorrow evening, but that shouldn't take too long. We'll probably like go out to eat after that. But, and Sunday, I don't think we have anything, thank goodness. So, I am hoping to get a good bit of reading done. Hi friends, it's Saturday night now. Yesterday I did get a little bit farther into Silver Nitrate, and then we went to Red Rocks last night for a show. We saw Say Anything and the Front Bottoms, and it was so much fun. We had a blast. And then today I just went to a yoga class and then read a little bit more, and then we went to this place called Anderson Farms. It's a little bit outside of Denver, and picked sunflowers, and it was so fun. They had so many sunflowers, so many different varieties, and it was just beautiful. And now we have a beautiful sunflower bouquet, and it was just awesome. I'm so glad that we ended up doing that. And now we've had dinner. I've been reading a little bit more, and then we're gonna go see the Haunted Mansion in about an hour. So pretty busy day, but I am 45% into Silver Nitrate now. I am a little bit iffy about it. It's definitely kind of a slow start. I'm almost at the 50% mark and nothing scary has happened. Like maybe one tiny kind of spooky thing, but that's it in the horror spooky space. So basically, last I had talked about was our main character, Montserrat. She's an editor, a sound editor. She's been having a hard time with work, just doing freelance stuff. She had a fight with her like boss or the like owner of this workspace where she edits. And that was what was happening there, but they seem to have made up, but she is barely working. And we're also hearing from the point of view of her friend and Tristan, and he had some success in the film industry. At one point he was an actor, got semi-famous, and then he was having issues with drugs, and he eventually, was in a relationship with one of his co-stars, and they were both not very well. They were doing a lot of partying and drugs, and they were in the car together they were both not sober, and there was an accident, and she passed away. She was driving, as far as we know, that she was driving. She passed away, and Tristan is fine. He had like minimal issues and some scarring, but nothing crazy. But ever since then, he's pretty much been blacklisted from the industry. There was a lot of backlash, and people kind of blamed him for the accident for some reason. So he hasn't really had any success in the industry since then. So he's just been doing like voiceover work pretty much. And now we have this person that has moved in next door to him in his building, and this man was a director and is a director and is pretty well known in the film industry. Kind of get together, hang out, and then he was like, hey, Montserrat, like, come meet this man, you should meet him. And when they first meet, they do have conversations about different people they've worked with, especially when it comes to horror, because Montserrat's really into horror films. But they get on the topic of this one horror film that was filmed but never came out, and it's kind of notorious for people saying it was cursed or something happened, and that's the reason it didn't come out, like, and that there was a lot of spooky stuff going on with the filming. And basically, once they're talking about this, and the director that they were having dinner with, that they were speaking to about this, he knew the director that worked on this film, and they were close. Apparently, this other director was a occultist, dabbled in magic or witchcraft in some sort, and had quite a few followers at one point. And they were making this film. Basically, the film itself was supposed to be a spell, and there's something about filming it on silver nitrate film, and filming on this silver nitrate would be kind of the conductor of this spell. And what happened was they weren't able to finish the film, and because of that, they weren't able to complete the spell, and then everyone was cursed afterwards. So our main character, Montserrat, she gets kind of obsessed with the idea of finding more about this film and finding this film, and in doing that and learning more about it and this director, she does stumble upon a copy of it. Kind of like work with her neighbor to figure out how to complete the spell, kind of, and mostly they're just like not believing in it, Tristan and Montserrat, but they're kind of just like going along with the older man director just to appease him. And what turns out is, things start to happen. They start to have good things happen to them, getting more opportunities, some huge changes in life when it comes to family and things like that. So it seems like the spell actually did something, and they were not expecting that. But now Tristan is kind of seeing things. So far, that's all the spooky stuff we've gotten, is like him starting to see things. Montserrat hasn't seen anything yet. But she is learning more about the occult, about the people involved in this film, as well as other occultists. And actually, the director neighbor gave her a book about the occult by one of these people, and now she's like trying to decipher and figure out what's really going on. She's hoping to like make some sort of documentary about the film and what happened, and she's hoping that could be like really good for her career, to start something new. And so she's just really researching and learning more about the occult. Now that's all really that's happened. We're almost 50% in. At first it was kind of hard to get into. It goes a lot into how they aren't really successful, how Tristan had the accident, and his career's gone, like, not been good after that, and it's gone into that so much. And then like we get it, they're not doing well in their careers, like we understand that, but it keeps like going into that so much and explaining that. And I wish it would like dial that back a little bit, because that is explained so easily, and I don't know why like the same kind of topic just keeps being brought up and taking up so much of this book, like because that's the majority of the book so far. Only little snippets have been about the occult or this other film and with the other director that's their neighbor. So I was having a little bit of trouble getting excited about it and getting into it, but I'm hoping now that Tristan is starting to see things that it'll step it up a little bit more. So we will see, and I probably won't read any more tonight since we're going to go to the movies, but I will give you an update tomorrow. Hello, it is Sunday now. I am just getting myself together a little bit, but the Haunted Mansion, we went inside last night. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was spooky. The house was really good, and the house had really good ambiance. I love the way that they tied in the actual ride into the movie. They did a way better job at that than they did in the old Haunted Mansion movie from like the early 2000s, though I love that movie too. People hate that movie and I love it, but hi Jasper. But I really enjoyed it, and I think like as far as like family friendly spooky movies go, it's a great one. I'm really excited that I enjoyed it so much. That makes me happy. But there is some spooky stuff in there that if there are little kids watching it, they would probably be quite scared. But yeah, this morning I've been lazy. It's almost, I think it's 11:30 now, but it's cold outside, well cooler. It's like 66 degrees and cloudy. Feels a little bit like fall. So I've just been sitting on the couch drinking coffee, had an ambiance video on, a candle lit, and I've been reading. So I've been reading Silver Nitrate. I'm a little bit farther along in it, but I still have the same feelings about it. I'm still pretty disappointed, but here, let me actually get to going. But I'm still a little bit disappointed in it. It's like, I don't know if it's the pacing or the tone or what's going on, but like they did this spell, and Montserrat and Tristan, I think Tristan believes in the whole magic thing, but for some reason Montserrat's like doesn't, and literally all the stuff's happened. They've had these, wishes come true and stuff like that, and they're seeing things. Montserrat was just like, maybe these spells are real, and I'm like, yeah, where you been? I didn't know that was like up for debate. Like obviously something is going on. That was like, I read that and I was like, what? But the pacing's really weird. Like something crazy will happen to like one of the people, and then they'll be like, oh my gosh, come here, like I need someone, and then they'll talk, and then the next scene they're just like watching TV, like everything's normal. It's very strange. The pacing is so weird. So I don't know, I'm a little it's just not what I'm wanting it to be so far. Definitely not scary at all in my mind. Like the Haunted Mansion last night was scarier than this so far, so just saying. So yeah, I don't know how to feel about it, honestly. I've thought about DNFing it a couple of times, to be honest, but I'm gonna stick it through. I want it to get scary, and I keep thinking about Mexican Gothic and how that was a super slow burn, and I know a lot of people DNF'd it because like nothing was really happening, but I enjoyed that one because at least the atmosphere of like the house and like this haunted mansion was there, and it kept me hooked. And also like the suspense of what's really going on here is what was getting me and like making me keep reading on, because I remember in Mexican Gothic, I don't think like a ton happened until like the 70% mark, but at least up until that, you had like this spooky haunted house atmosphere. So, and this one definitely doesn't have that. The pacing's weird. The way it jumps from person to person is kind of weird. Just the way everyone's acting doesn't make sense. Like I don't know who would act this way in accordance to what's going on. So I'm a little frustrated. But I am gonna finish it. I'm gonna finish it for you all. I am going to read it so you know whether you should read it or not. Right now, not my favorite. I don't hate it, but I'm expected something different. I also can't believe she was like, maybe these spells are real. And I'm like, we're more than halfway into the book. Yeah, what? When was that a question? Like obviously something is happening. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I don't know. I am just gonna do my skincare routine. I don't have any plans today. I am finishing this book today. I have decided that that's what I'm gonna do. I'm finishing today. We don't have any plans. I'm going to go to the farmer's market and get some veggies for the week. I'm probably gonna walk there, and while I walk there I will listen to the book. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna walk because today's like the first day. It's not like a bajillion degrees and I can actually go walk outside to the farmer's market. So it's been a minute since I took an outside walk, so I'm excited about that because that used to be my daily thing and it's just been way too hot. So excited about that. And then I'm just gonna come home, be cozy. Drew has a thing with one of his friends. He's going to play like a board game or something. So he's gonna be gone for some of the afternoon. So it's just gonna be me, being cozy, which I love. I love being by myself. So yeah, but silver nitrate, it's not giving me what I was hoping. It's not really giving me much at all, to be honest. Yeah, I'm gonna go read a little bit more and then go to the farmer's market, and I will update you later. I'm loaded down with veggies from the farmer's market and I'm just so happy. Oh my gosh, I don't know if you can tell, it's gloomy and actually chilly today. I'm wearing a flannel and I'm just so happy. I'm so happy. It feels amazing outside and I'm just so happy. The farmer's market, whenever we go, I try to go closer to when they close. They close at 1 and it's like 12:30 now, but the last like 30 minutes they always do, like normally it's like fill a bag for $15. But if you come closer to close, they always do like 2 for $20. So you get a ton of veggies for $20 and it's awesome. So, but now I'm just walking back to our apartment. It's just like less than a 10-minute walk. So I'll talk to you later. Okay, friends, so it's officially 5 p.m. now. I just finished Silver Nitrate, and I am sad to say that it really did not get better for me. I am really frustrated with this book because it felt like not a ton happened at all. Like we were getting a ton of info. There was a lot of like repetition about the characters. And I'm like, I get it. We understand. And especially like going back into their past and like talking about those things. I'm like, yeah, you've told this story already. And it was just really frustrating to me. The last 25%, it did get more fast paced and some things happened, but it wasn't like anything unique or different or exciting really. I mean, what happened was pretty much exactly what I anticipated and what would just make sense to happen in this kind of book or this kind of story. And especially like the very ending, oh my gosh, like cringe. It was just cringe. Like it just whenever books end that way and it doesn't quite like make sense, or if it's just like to make everything like knotted together with a bow and presented in this certain way, it was really cringy to me and a bummer. Yeah, I just expected so much more, especially because this was one of my most highly anticipated books of the summer for sure. I was so excited that this was coming out and excited about the plot. And you know, it's really interesting because in the synopsis it does mention like Nazi occultism, but that doesn't really play a huge part into it. And you know, even like the sorcerer, whoever, the Ewers guy, he was a Nazi and some of his followers believe those same things too, but that didn't really take part into the full story or, you know, what ended up happening. And other than like a few points, other than to like make him out to be scarier than he was, I think. I feel like that's the whole point of it. It was trying to make him seem scarier, but I feel like you could have just taken that out completely and it played no part in the story otherwise. So I don't know, because especially I feel like a lot of people are like, wow, it has like Nazi occultism. Oh, I love when that's like tied into horror books. And it just doesn't really end up having anything to do with the story. So I expected a lot more. I finished it. I mean, the book was like 13 to 14 hours. Like it could have been so much shorter because we were just getting the same information over and over again, I felt like. And it was just so strange. I don't know. Also, I can't believe I hadn't brought this up earlier, but well, it's because I didn't know what decade it was. Like I would have mentioned it's based in this time, and I thought it was based there. I had no idea, honestly. There were points where I was like, this is in the 60s or this is in the 80s, but then they would talk about things like a certain movie or something, and then I'd be like, oh, so it must be like in the 80s, but we're in like, I think it's 93, and it doesn't even mention that until like a couple hundred pages into the book. And I don't know how to explain how frustrating that is, to be reading and being like totally unaware of what decade you're in. It was infuriating. It made me so mad. I can't even explain it. Like, make it clear what decade you're in. I don't know. Like, there were things that would allude to that it was like not present day, like it wasn't in the 2000s. Like, I got that far, but literally my brain was thinking every decade from the 60s through the 90s. I truly did not know what it was, and actually the 90s were like my last guess. So I don't know. I'm frustrated. I didn't hate it. It wasn't the worst thing I ever read, but I'm giving it 2.5 stars. I just expected so much more, and I really got nothing out of this, and it's a bummer. I did like aspects that I did like. I liked how it would talk about film, and how we kind of learned a little bit about the industry and how different products and machinery and tools used in the film industry back in the day, how those worked. I liked learning about the silver nitrate. I liked the idea of a sorcerer, but at the same time, like, the main sorcerer guy, but he wasn't the only sorcerer. There were other people that were doing witchcraft or clairvoyant or had these other skills. And I feel like we could have spent so much more time going into each of those different types of things, rather than just talking about how they don't have jobs, or they're like sitting watching TV and they're annoyed at each other because he doesn't like her and he just got out of a breakup and now he wants her back in his life, kind of thing. Just annoying, mundane things. And the pacing was really strange, but they were like, the tone of the characters was so confusing. Like, it just felt off. Like, something just totally felt off about this book. It was like they would freaking see a ghost or something horrible happen, and then like a couple of pages later they're just like watching TV or like going to get dinner or going to pick up their paycheck. I'm like, do y'all not understand? Like, you are being haunted, or there are some spells here? Why are we just like going about day-to-day life things and activities? It was very weird. I don't know. That's such a bummer. I'm really sad. It could have just been so much better, especially considering there are so many books this month that have come out that are like about cursed films, and I can't imagine other ones being worse than this. So it's a bummer. It's a big bummer. I am looking forward to Mr. Magic. I'm hoping that gives me the cursed film vibes that I need. Also, Bird the Negative. I have heard good things about Bird the Negative so far, so I'm just wanting one good cursed film book. And it seems like this month is the month of them. I just read this one. I have Bird the Negative checked out. So I will for sure be reading it this month, as well as Mr. Magic, because I got that through Neck Alley, and I will be doing like a review on that as well this month, and probably in a reading vlog. So, oh me. I'm okay. It's just like, I wouldn't be as upset if the book was like a 9-hour book, like, or some, shorter, but for it to be like 13 hours, I feel like I could have read 2 really good books in that amount of time, Like, I feel like I wasted my time. And I just hate when that happens, but that's okay. It happens. It's part of reading. We all have flops sometimes, and I think really the issue is that I was just so excited about this one. And it was just highly anticipated by me for, one of my most anticipated books of the year. So I think that's why I'm so upset. Y'all are probably like, we get it, Victoria, calm down. It's just a book. It is. It'll be okay. I'm gonna see what I'm reading next. I'm pretty positive it's gonna be Tell Me I'm Worthless, which is a haunting. Oh, also, speaking of haunting, the haunting aspect of Silver Nitrate was barely there. There was like barely anything there. and I was hoping for more. The haunting is minimal. So yeah, saying that, okay, now I'm done. I'm not I'm done. I'm not going to talk about it again. Tell Me I'm Worthless is by Allison Rumfitt, and it is a haunted house story. So I'm hoping I get the full haunting experience from this one that I did not get from Silver Nitrate. Sorry, I talked about it again. Okay, I'm done. And it is LGBTQIA+, and I think one of our characters is trans. So I am ready for this more inclusive haunted house story. I can't wait to give it a go, and I hope it's scary. I will update you. I'm gonna start reading it right now, so I will update you in a little bit once I kind of know what's going on. Okay, I'm officially to part 2 of Tell Me I'm Worthless, and actually I'm like 55% in, so that's pretty far in, and I think there's like 4 parts. So but up until this point, it's basically almost is reading like a stream of consciousness, but we are hearing it from Alice, Ila, and the house. So, which is really interesting how it's written this way. But Alice and Ila dated at one point. They were really good friends in college, and they had gone to this haunted house with their friend Hannah, and all kinds of bad things happened to them. And they come out of it all understanding and believing that different things happen to each person. And Alice and Ela left that believing that they had each done something horrible to the other. And no one really knows exactly what has happened, and we don't either. And I don't think that they truly know at all. And they're just trying to remember the best way that they can, and they've kind of formed their own ideas around it. But right off the bat, when the book starts, it tells you that there's a haunting. Like, it starts with Alice, and she's like, I'm being haunted, and talking about what's been going on, how there's a presence coming after her, and that happens right off the bat. So we're thrown right into it, seeing that a haunting is happening and something is following them. And then it goes into Ela's, and she is haunted kind of in a different way. It's not as intense, but she is like hearing from the house. Like, the house is like talking to her, telling her to come back and to bring Alice and to go back to this house. And once we also hear from the house's point of view, it talks about, how different people have died there, or people across the street hear the house calling to them. They walk towards it, then they disappear. Same with animals, cats, things like that. And the house has been calling to them pretty much, or trying to show them or haunt them in a way to make them come back. And Alice and Ela haven't spoken in 3 years, and they both believe that each other did something horrible to the other, and when they were at the house. Now, it is also going into like the social commentary part with Alice, who is a trans woman, and then Ela, who is a lesbian, but she has since, believing that Alice did something horrible to her, she has since like changed her point of views on a lot of things when it comes to the trans community, and it's basically a TERF now. So that's a whole other place that it's delving into. There's also a ton of like triggers in this book, and when you start the book, there is actually a page with the trigger warnings. I know like some of y'all like that and some of y'all hate that. It is reading almost like extreme horror in a way so far. There have been a lot of really wild streams of consciousness, things that are really out there, and overall, nothing too crazy or scary has happened. There's been a few spooky things, but right off the bat, we started with knowing it's a haunting. So it's been pretty fast-paced so far. It's only, I think the book is 9 hours, but I'm 55% through, and they've both come to a point where they're kind of like, something has to happen, like something's got to give. And I know in synopsis it tells you like they end up going back to the house, and right now we're at part 2, and they have come together to speak, and I believe they're going to go back to the house and try to pick up the pieces,
find out what's going on, figure out what actually happened to them, because they don't know, and it's kind of ruined their lives ever since. So that's where we're at now.
Hi friends, okay, so it's Monday now. I am already have an interview at 11, so I am all ready for that, but I wanted to give you an update. Sorry if you can hear my washing machine. I think it's about to do its final spin, and whenever it does that, it sounds insane, but that's also because I put way too much stuff in it, so it's my fault, and I just deal with it every time. It has like a 30-second burst where it sounds like it's gonna make the house fall down, but that's okay. Anyway, so update on the book, Tell Me I'm Worthless. I finished part 2 last night, and part 2 was like way shorter, and I thought part 2 was going to be them going back to the house, but actually it goes more into what happened with them and these 3 friends when they were at the house, and what went down, and the truth to what was going on, so that now we know who's guilty of what, or if even if they were guilty of anything at all, if it was the house making them do these things. But I'm really appreciative that it went into it and kind of a bit more in depth than I had anticipated, because I definitely understand a little bit more about the relationships and what's going on. So that was super helpful. Other than that, I mean, that's all that happened. I don't want to give any spoilers away, obviously, so not going to go too deep into it, but I do want to reiterate, there's a lot of triggers in here. It definitely gets a bit intense, and some of the topics and subject matter are a lot, so please look up the triggers. There's a lot going on. I think that so far the commentary is really interesting, especially coming from our character Ela, who has turned into a TERF, and it seems like they are battling with their gender identity as well. So it seems like there's some like internalized conflict going on there, but also trying to understand who is the bad person here, if anyone is a bad person, if they are all mentally unwell, or if the house is making them do this. I am kind of understanding the overarching like metaphor here with the house and like basically our world and our country. I feel like making us all sick and mean and hateful towards each other, and just, you know, the culture wars going on. Of course, when it comes to those kinds of things, I'm very much pro-trans rights and support trans people all the way. So it's really interesting to read this book, and when it took the turn to Ela, where she was at a meeting with other people who you would think would be on the left, but really they don't believe trans people or are real people, and kind of think of it as a mental issue, and just don't think of them as real men or women, for which either way they identify. And it's very interesting to see that point of view. It also goes into just a lot of really tough topics outside of that space that are really sad and intense. And there's also like some in-depth, I don't know if I would say smutty, but it talks about how our character Alice does like webcam work. So there's some dialogue within that where there's a lot of sexual stuff going on, so please be aware of that, especially like if you're reading it in public or something. You might feel a little strange reading it in public. I don't know, no one knows what you're reading, but you know what I mean. You know how it goes whenever you read something, you're like, oh, like you're like, I don't know, it knows I'm reading this right now. But overall, I am really liking it. I think it's a little bit weird. It's definitely a little bit of Chuck Palahniuk, where things are seeming to be taken to the extreme in a bit for the sake of it being like kind of intense, especially when it came to those like smutty like webcam parts. Like there were parts I'm like, this didn't need to be in there, and I kind of just skipped through them, especially where it was just like reading dialogue from like people on this area of the internet and what they were asking for, because I don't feel like it added anything to the story, just not for me at least. So Yeah, I am liking it. It's definitely weird. I like how it's written, as it feels almost like a stream of consciousness. I love how the house has its own little point of view. I am really enjoying that, and usually I wouldn't like something like that, but it's working in this. And basically it really just tells us the history of the house, what has happened there, and what is happening up until this point. And so hearing the history of the house, it was super helpful too. So I feel like it's been really good at covering all the bases as far as like information and backstory, and I really appreciate that, but not to the point where it's making the story slow or not moving forward, like the issue with like silver nitrate. I feel like that was a huge issue with that, but with this, it's moving fast. And I mean, within the first like chapter, like more had happened in the first chapter of this book than had happened in like 2/3 of silver nitrate. So yeah, so far so good. Hi friends. Okay, I am just out for a walk at the park, so sorry if you hear cars and stuff, but I finished Tell Me I'm Worthless, and I'm a bit conflicted on it, honestly. I don't know how to feel about it. I understand exactly what it was trying to do, and it's almost like in your face about it, to the point of like, okay, like I get it kind of thing, but I don't know. And then also some parts were just so crude and saying horrible things for just the sake of being shocking, I think. And that's often a pet peeve of mine when it comes to any kind of books, especially horror. But I do respect what this book is trying to do and what it is explaining, and how we live in a world where fascism is here and real, and you know, that's the society that we live in. And I get what it's saying, and it gets the point across in a way that's almost too in your face. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about it. I liked it, and I feel weird about the characters, because one of them, the one that was like turned into a turf, like they're obviously like grappling with their own like gender identity, and it's some of the parts seemed almost like bad, like the way that they were representing stuff, even though this is written by a trans author, so you know, they know better than me. But there were a lot of like anti-Semitic things in here, really crude, horrible misogyny and SA, and I understand why those are in there for like the sake of the story, but I also have a hard time whenever, especially when it comes to horror, where SA is such a huge plot point and almost is using it as like, this is scary, like this is the only scary thing in here almost, and I have a really hard time with that, and I don't enjoy it. So also, I feel like the best parts about this were the points like the POV of the house, and I feel like we could have used more of that and really understood a little bit more from that area, just because in the other parts I feel like those were some of like the best written ones, was when it was like the POV of the house. I do want to say that I liked it, because I for sure did. I just had some issues with it. I think I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Now listen, this is not for the faint of heart. It's very much intense, a lot of shocking vocabulary, subject matter, crude in a way. So it's intense. There's just a lot going on where it's like, whoa, okay. Almost exhausting in a way. And which makes sense. Like, I mean, living in this world and this society that we live in is exhausting. So I get that as well. But yeah, I wanted it to be a little bit scarier. Like I said, it used SA too much to be like, this is the horror element in it. And I wanted it to be more of the haunting, and I don't even know if I would say it's it much feels like a haunting. And the end was really not ideal for me. I did not like the end. I almost thought the end was cheesy in a way. Like, it does make sense, and there's some good points in this book, and I think towards the end too, it definitely makes some really good points. But yeah, I'm conflicted. I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. I did like it. I would recommend it if you're looking for a very political like commentary on living in today's society, especially coming from the perspective of people in the trans community, in which I think it's an important you to read about and learn about, but it wasn't my favorite. So I'm not totally disappointed in it. It was fine. It was very different than what I expected it to be, and I had some issues with it overall. But I have started The Last Word, and so far I'm really loving it. It is very self-aware, on the nose, knows what's going on, but our main character has been staying at an Airbnb in the Pacific Northwest, and it's on the beach there, and it's just her and her dog, and she is there pretty much grieving the loss of her husband who has passed. So she's there, we're kind of hearing, you know, her thoughts and her talking about her life with her husband and her grieving and working through that, but she's also just like reading a lot and trying to escape like what is going on in her mind. And she reads this book on Kindle. It was 99 cents, and she hated it. It was awful. And she then leaves this horrible review. This book has no other reviews, so she leaves this horrible 1-star review for it, and then the author like leaves a comment under it and was like asking her to take it down basically, and she was like, no, I'm not gonna take it down. And then the author commented again and was like, okay, well, you know, why would you want to hurt my livelihood? I'm trying to be a writer, like you're harming me from getting published or from other people reading this book. And it's pretty wild. But the book that she read that was by the author was like serial killer is after these women in the woods, and like all of his books are like murder blank. So he has like, I think it was like Murder in the Woods, murder ship, murder something, like a lot of different murder books. So, and they're all from the POV of the serial killer. So he, like, they're written from the serial killer's point of view and walking through how he went after all these people. And specifically with this one that she read, he makes some really stupid comments about women and just really dumb misogynistic things. And now we're seeing like the author was upset about those reviews. Now our main character, she is basically all alone, except there's someone like across the way, and they've been like playing hangman and like playing games through telescopes across to each other's house, which is interesting. And I'm like, okay, so we'll see how he plays into this whole thing, because it does appear that he is a writer. So I don't know if that's him or if he's the bad guy here or what, but we have gotten now to the part where she believes that the author of this book that she left the review of is after her and trying to kill her and hurt her. So that's where we're at now. I think I'm more than a third of the way through, but we are hearing from her POV, but also like if he wrote a story about this account, and he's like Murder Beach is what it would be, because she's staying on the beach. And so we're hearing like if there was a story written about this encounter with this man trying to kill her for writing a horrible review. And it's really funny so far. I've laughed quite a few times, and it's super fast paced. I mean, and I'm listening to it, so maybe that's even making it better, I don't know, but overall I'm really enjoying it. I love how just on the nose the satire is here. I absolutely love the idea of an author or someone getting pissed about a 1-star review. I just think that's hilarious. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm feeling really good about this one, so yeah, stay tuned and I'll let you know how it all ends up.
Hello, update time. So I have decided to round down on Tell Me I'm Worthless to 3 stars. I just kept thinking about it and I was like, I don't think I'm going to give it 3.5. I'm going to give it 3. But anyway, I just finished The Last Word and I really liked it. I thought it was really fun, fast-paced. There are some parts that I can see why people aren't liking it, so I can totally understand that, but I just feel like it's so aware of itself and funny. The satire's there. I laughed quite a few times throughout. And then, you know, some of the suspense and thrill in it is pretty good. I think a lot of people were like, it just gets ridiculous. Like, these things are happening. You're like, why? It just gets too much. And I could see why people will say that, but I think it kind of goes with the whole, like, almost horror comedy aspect of it all. And there's something about a premise of someone going after someone for a 1-star review, but there are quite a few twists in here that surprised me, and I'm happy about that because I was like, what's happening here? How is this book still going? And there were some twists. Were some of them kind of cheesy? Yeah, but I was okay with it. And I just think it was kind of like part of the experience. Like the whole book was meant to be like making fun of itself in a way, and I'm totally cool with that. I enjoy that kind of horror comedy, like almost campy a little bit, but I definitely understand that there are parts where it's frustrating. You're like, why? Like, come on, people. Like, I get that why it would be frustrating and annoying in some areas. I do feel like it could have been cut a little bit shorter, especially when we are experiencing this man going after her and like just how much happens and how this fight keeps going on. It can be a little bit excessive, and I see why people would think that. But overall, I really liked it. I thought it was fun. I mean, I read it one day, knocked it out real quick. I wanted to see what was happening, and I was pretty surprised by the end and really satisfied with it all. I think it all wrapped up really well, and I know that a lot of people have been upset about animal harm in here. The animal is fine. I'm just going to tell you, the animal's okay. So if it's something that deters you from horror books, or if you've heard something about that about this book, just know that the animals are fine. So yeah, I really liked it. I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. It was a really good one for me, and I see why people are divided on this one, but for me, I really liked it. I thought it was a fun time. I enjoyed it. I was surprised, shocked, and everything ended up wrapping up really well. And some of it was cheesy, yeah, but I was okay with it for this one because it feels like that was the whole vibe. Like that was the whole point of it a little bit. Also, the premise is just real good. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of this reading vlog. I'm not sure what I'm going to be reading next or when I'm going to start recording next. I'm sure it will be this week. I will probably start again on Friday-ish, but today is Tuesday, so I'm going to have a couple days. I'll probably read another book between then, and but I will see you later. Thanks so much for watching, especially if you made it to the end. You were so kind. Thank you. If you have any questions or recommendations, please put them below. Also, if you have any book recs, put them below if you think something might be a good fit for me. I'm always open to recommendations when it comes to new books. And yeah, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. I hope you have a great one.